Again, guys, we are back with the React.js. So today in this video, I'm going to talk about React.js basics, how we can set up a React application, and what are the further steps I need to study about to start my React application. Right. So without doing this much, guys, let me go to my console. So for this console, guys, I just need to open my terminal. So that is my terminal here. So in the terminal, guys, what I just need to make sure about something that I have to create my first React application. So for this thing, I just need to go to my CD and desktop and the practice folder. In the practice folder, guys, I have to create my first React app once again. So npx create React app, right? So npx create React app and just give it a name. So I want to go with the React basics. So I want to know about the basics of the React only. So npx create React app React basis is my first React app name that I want to create today. So this will take some time for me to install it, right? So in the meantime, guys, I hope we are very clear that we don't have to do much of the task over here. We just had to wait and let this thing happen or complete. In the meantime, I will open my Visual Studio Code so that I don't have to wait for this code to again open, right? So going to Visual Studio Code. So when I open this Visual Studio Code, guys, I just need to click and open my folder which I need to open. So I just click on the open, and here, guys, I just need to make sure which folder I have to open and just simply go to that folder. So my folder is somewhere stored in the desktop in the practice, and there's one folder name that is React basis that I have to open. So opening this React folder will just take some time, right, to set up all the things that I require. Now we will be able to see some files after this things gets completed, right? So alright, so it's just getting these things done for me, and I don't have to watch this thing console every time, right? So I just need to go to my Visual Studio Code. I will be able to see some files here. So we are done, guys. We are having my app created here. So guys, without doing a much thing over here, let's talk about how we can start the application. So guys, for my React application, if I have to start it, guys, I need to open something in the terminal, right, guys? So we have a terminal over here. You just see, you can go to the top. Here's the terminal option. Just click on the new terminal, right? So in the new terminal, what I have to do, guys, I have to just make sure that this app should work for me. So if I have to start my application of the React for the very first time, I just need to do only one thing. Just write npm and write start here. So when I say npm start, it does something for me. I don't know what exactly is happening beside the things, right? I just need to know about this thing, but before I want to check all the things, I should know that this application is working in my system. So I will simply copy this code from here and close this window. I don't require it. I just need to open a something incognito window here. So I will simply open incognito. So my React is starting here, guys. I hope we all can see this stuff very clearly. This is something, it's saying something to me. Please edit the src app.js file and save to reload, and you can learn the React from here, right? Some a link given to me. Now let's talk about this all things mentioned in my React application that I have created using the npm or using the npx create React app here. So I don't know anything about this whole folder structure, right? So let's talk about it first. So this node modules folder is something, a folder in which, guys, I have my all the dependencies required. So when I said dependency required, means to me that I need some sort of file that should be there in my React application so that I can start the app, right? So guys, you can see so many stuff mentioned in this node modules folder. You don't have to look into the things, right? It's just a folder that is required to start your application and work fine. So that is why it is named as node modules, and whenever you see that this folder comes up, it means to me that this is about my dependencies that are required to be here only. Apart from this folder guys, we have another folder named as public. So this public folder help me to get to know what exactly going to be seen by the client side. So this public folder contains a fab icon. I hope guys that's quite easy to understand what this fab icon comes from. So this icon that you can see, it's something over here as well, and you can see something on the top too, right, in the tab. So that is a fab icon. Apart from the fab icon guys, we have another file that is logo. So we have a logo.png file, we have logo.png once again, that is having a larger size than the last one. So it has two different sizes mentioned here. And guys, apart from this thing, we have a manifest file, so you don't have to look into all the things that manifest on just JSON file. That is none of our business. Apart from this thing guys, is the robot.txt, that is again none of our business. That's all fine. Now if I just talk about this whole thing, I just okay, but I have one file that is there. I have to look into this file, that name is index.html. So whenever I see some index.html file guys, this is very clear from the web term. The whenever we have index.html file, they say that is my home page, or my index file is my first file that actually executes whenever you get into the web browsers, right? So whenever you hit any site, you see a very first page, that is your home page or something. I can say the very first file opens up is index.html or index.jsp or something like that, right? So this folder that we have, a public folder, it contains the main file is index.html. Apart from this thing guys, I don't have to look into other files that are none of my business. Coming to the next folder, we have src folder, that means to me source. So guys, now if this folder is actually something that I have to look into very clearly. So this folder src contains some files. Have a look once again guys. Before the kicking down guys, we have some files mentioned here. So one file name is app.css. With the name only guys, we can understand what the css does for me. So that is a cascading style sheet we have. So we have one cascading style sheet file that exactly looks the same way we have in html css kind of things. Coming out from this file guys, we have one app.js file, that is a javascript file, that if we have a js as an extension. So this file has some data, but we are not able to find out what exactly they have written here. So we'll look into this thing later. Apart from app.js guys, we have app.test.js. So this is for my testing purposes guys, and I don't know how to do testing, so leave it here. Apart from this thing guys, again we have another file with the name index.css. So that css file once again with index file. And we have another index.js file that again makes no sense to me, that I'm not able to find out. Leave it like this thing, we will talk it later. We have logo.svg, so we have another svg file for the logo. That's fine. We have a report web vitals, that is about my report web vital. That's again none of my business, I don't have to look into this thing. Then we have setup test.js. again I don't have any work on this file, so leave it. So guys, right now we have some files that I don't have to look into, like this app.css or app index.css, logo, and this report web vitals and the setup test. These are none of my business. My main files are index.js and app.js. Now coming out from this thing guys, git ignore. So when we talked about this whole project that we were creating, so guys, it has some dependencies, it has some repositories created. So this is one of the thing guys, git ignore, that we have, that is also on the git, right? So it has just initiated the project too, right? So this is that file. Where then we have a package.json file guys, we have package.json file. So these two files are actually used for letting you know that which type of dependencies we have, what type of version they have. You can see right now the dependencies that are installed in my React application is testing, and the react dom, react scripts, and the web vitals, right? So there are some script that I'm going to use here. So npm start, when I say npm start, it actually executes react script start, right? So don't get confused in this all files. You don't have to look much in these files, because these files are just created by the react only. You don't have to look into things clearly. Now when I started the react application guys, I just written npm start, and it does automatically all the changes that I am going to do here. So let us see in a simple example here how this actually works for me. So guys, we came to know that everything when I start a React application, it just shows me some index file. So let me just check out where this written, right? Where is this added src app.js and save to reload. So I need to find out where this data is written, right? So let me try to find it somewhere from here. I don't know exactly how we can find, so I'm just writing edit, right? So I can see edit, I have seen something edit, and you can see this is coming from the app.js file. So this app.js file is actually the file where my data add dit is written, and let me find out what exactly it does contain, right? So if I know a little bit about JavaScript, guys, if I know a little bit about JavaScript, I can see that this is a function, right? This is a function that named is app, and it is returning something to me. So let me just check it out. It returns some sort of data that looks exactly the HTML, right? So this all data that I can see, right, this is an HTML data. Somehow there's something that I am not able to find out what exactly it is, but if I have a look over it, guys, it mostly looks HTML data only, right? So this thing is something known as functional component, right? So what is a functional component in React, guys? So a function is just a function. It's just a function that returns something like a Java or something like HTML data, right? A function that returns the data just like HTML makes sense to me till now. It is a functional component. A function that returns data just like HTML, it is a functional component, right? So guys, there are two lines mentioned on the top, so you can see import, right? So if we talk about Java or any other language, we do import, right? Or include word is used, right? So here import means that I want to get the data from the other files. So import, that I want to import, what I want to import, I want to import logo. So I want to import logo from which file? Dot slash. Dot slash means the current folder and the file name is logo.svg. So I want to import that thing. Guys, this is none of my business. I don't have to import it here. So I just remove that file, and you can see the logo word is also mentioned here. So I don't require this logo file to be here. So I want to remove this thing from here, right? So I can remove it from here. So that image is removed now. That's fine. If I look into back to my browser, you can see there's no image now, right? So that's all fine. It's getting reloaded. Now in this application, or I can say this function app, I have something data like mentioned here, anchor tag and so div and header and other things, guys. There's one more line, export default app. So guys, now when I say export default app, it makes sense to me that I wanted someone to get the data from here, right? So if someone asks me import data from this file, right? If someone asks that I need to import data from this file, what thing should I wanted to get imported, right? What thing I wanted to get exported from this function? So guys, I'm saying export default app. It means to me that I want to export this function. I want to export this function. So whenever someone writes import, right, or someone writes app from this dot slash app.js, so guys, when someone like this thing, it makes sense to me that now I'm talking about this function to be imported, right? So that's what I have written here in front of you guys. That's fine, I hope so. Now, but the still, guys, I don't know how exactly the app.js is working, because that is app.js, right? So guys, that app.js is somewhere in this file, right? So somewhere in this file, but right now we are checking for one thing, that this index.html file should get actually rendered up. So how this thing is getting caught, right? So just look into the things now. So guys, in this thing I can see there's a title, right? And this title is actually matching with my title, right? So this, if you are not clear about this thing, just see React app by, just see Kuldeep. If I write Kuldeep here, you will see my name is also there, right? It means this title is getting caught up there. So now that's fine. So Kuldeep, that's all okay for me. Now apart from this thing, guys, you need to enable this thing, that is if no script is ran there, that's fine. And guys, there's simple div, and there's something mentioned as id root. So this div id root makes something for me, and I hope so we have to look into this thing. So this div have an id root, and guys, somewhere I am talking about this root, and there's nothing in between, right? So there's nothing in between. How I can find out here? So just click here and just go to inspect. So when I go to inspect, guys, I have this elements. In this elements, guys, I can see there's a div. Yes, there's a div that contains an id root, and that div, guys, there's another div that has a class app, right? So somewhere I can see the div has id root, and it has another div that has a class app. Now if I look back again to my app.js file, just have a look here. Your app.js file contains a div that has a class name app. right? So div class app, so it makes sense to me. It contains another thing header, I hope so. Yes, exactly guys. So it contains another thing header, so it means this file data that is written here is actually getting inside this div, right? So inside this thing it's getting. So how this is actually working for me? So guys, this is another file where I have to look into. The file name is index.js. So this index.js file has something written here and I don't know what exactly it contains, so let's try to understand it here. So guys, whenever I have to make sure that this is something a React app for me, so I have to import that thing here. So I'm importing React from React, so that's the way we import some default modules guys. So import React from React, import React DOM from React DOM slash client. So the guide, this is now recognized version 18, right? So this is version 18, and guys, this is 18th version of the React. If you are learning from somewhere else, you might see that this content of this index.js file does not matches with other things that you are talking about, right? So this is version 18. If you see something different from this thing, you might be in the version less than 18 here, right? Apart from this thing guys, we have imported the index.css file. Apart from this thing guys, we have imported app.js file. So, and there's another web item that I don't have to see, so I can remove it from here. So guys, what actually the React DOM does for me, so you can see React DOM says create a root, right? So this create root function says that I want to make my root or very first parent, right? So guys, from where I want to start, so I say document, I hope it's very clear, document dot get element by id, and I say root, right? So document, right? I hope we learned about id root here. So document, can you please get an element by its id, and that id name is root. So guys, you can see in our index.html file we have a div that contains an id root. So I'm talking about this thing, that is my root element that I'm going to talk about. So my React app has to be inserted in this div id named as root. So that's what I'm doing here. So root dot render. So guys, the render method is very clear, that whenever I say render method, that I want to put some data, I want to render some files, right? I want to insert some sort of data into this root. So I'm writing root dot render, and guys, here I want to render one thing very clearly. And what I want to render guys, I want to render my app. Right now guys, this app, the way it is written is just like our element of HTML, right? So it's just like app.js, or I can write something like this way as well. So that's again up to me. No one can ask me why Kuldeep you are writing this way. That's again up to me. So it makes sense to me just like HTML. So guys, when I say something as a component in React, so you have to make sure that your component you are creating here, right? So it has to be upper case first letter, right? So the very first thing guys, if we don't mention your component as an uppercase letter, you are going to get it drawn. So let us see if I write small a, if I write small a here, right? Just have a look here. Let's try to understand what exactly happens with my application. So guys, I tried to my best and I just made this thing very clearly. Let me try to refresh. I'm not able to see anything in the console. Let me just check here in the console. It's saying warning, the tag app is unrecognized in this browser. If you mean to render React component, start its name with an uppercase letter. So guys, it is simply clearing me out. Please make sure your app name should be in uppercase letter. And I hope guys that's already clear to all of you how this thing is actually happening in my browser. It has to be uppercase letter as it is a React component. So whenever you create a component, make sure whenever you are importing that component, it has to be an uppercase letter. Otherwise, you are going to get this app with some issue in the browser. I hope it made sense to all of you guys, right? Now coming to the next thing guys, what I have to deal with this thing, you can see right now I have written something like this way. If I remove this line of code here, and if I just don't close it guys, just see I'm not closing it here, you are getting some error. Let me try to find out here. So it's saying module build fail. unterminated JSX content. So it's saying JSX content. So it is not an HTML to me, it is something JSX, or I can say Java styling, right, or XML, or I can say Java with JavaScript with XML, something like this thing. It has different names. People use the different terms for this JSX elements or content. So guys, what is JSX for me as of now? JSX means to me is just like HTML. You should look properly like HTML, right? So guys, properly like HTML means to me that if you have only one tag that you have, it has to be self closing, right? Now self closing means this way. So I'm making my app component self closing, so I don't have it another further, or I can say another and for this element. So I'm just writing self closing, right? So if I write self closing, it makes sense to me that there is no error in my app. So make sure guys, whenever you are using the input, right, whenever you're using the img tag, you have to self close them, otherwise you are going to get some error, right? So JSX is just exactly the same way like your HTML does. So if you are not clear about this thing, let me just simply write it here. So h1 tag we all know, right? Hi, this is fun with the React, right? So if I write hi, this is fun with React, you can see this is actually in h1 tag, right? So this is very clear for me to help actually get to know what exactly here the JSX stands for. This h1 is also the part of JSX, but it is again something from HTML. But guys, this HTML is not HTML here, this is JSX, right? Or you can say that if you want to embed some JavaScript in your HTML, you can do it in this code, right? That's what we are doing here. So if I am rendering an app component, guys, you can see the app component I'm talking about, or app is my functional component here. So it's coming from this file. So whatever I'm returning, this thing whole is actually written over here. So if I change that, if I change this edit and src app.js to save to reload to something, my name Kuldeep Singh here, you can see my name will be there, right? And guys, this exactly you will learn here. So you can edit the code, you can work along whatever you want it to do. That's about my first React application, right? I hope we made it very clear how actually this React application is working and what is JSX here and what is my functional component. So guys, whenever you create this application, you get this app file and that returns some data, and now it's my turn. Whatever data I want to return from here, we can. Now I have deleted a div here, so I can return my h1 tag. This is again going great. So if I write something like this thing, let's have a look here. So this is again going great, and that's all working fine from my system, right? So I don't have to do some more events here. It's totally fine that there's very clear things I can do. Now apart from this thing, guys, you can write if you want to. Like if I have a const variable here, my name, right? So I have variable my name that I want to write it here. So my name is Kuldeep and I want to write it Singh. So Kuldeep Singh is my name, and I wanted my name to be there, right? I wanted my name to be printed here, so I can write have a this is a great going great, right? So I want to print my name, so I can write my name is. Now guys, it's very clear how I can write it here. So you can write something like this way. So curly brackets are required, so you can use the curly brackets or parenthesis here, and you can do inject your, what I can say, your JavaScript here. So this is my JavaScript variable name, that is a capital N. So you can just see my name will be printed there. Quite awesome, right? So you can inject more. So I can const, I can write topic here, and guys, the topic that we are right now talking about is the React.js. So I can write React.js basics, right? And I can write now one more thing, guys. You will look into this thing, just see, you will get some issues here. So guys, here I am just talking, right, and my topic is, right now I'm writing it like this thing. My topic is, I can write topic, and I'm getting some error. I don't know what exactly that is. Just try to see from the web browser and you will come to know what exactly you have to do. So here guys, I'm getting some error. It's saying that adjacent JSX element, it's saying adjacent JSX elements must be wrapped in a enclosing tag. So whatever data I'm trying to do, it has to be wrapped inside a single or enclosing tag. Did you want to use a JSX fragment? So guys, there's another thing that we came to know, a fragment. So what is exactly wrong with my code, guys? There's nothing wrong with my code. Only the thing is, if you're trying to put some element, this is one h1 element, this is another h1 element. If you have two different elements and they are adjacent, or I can say siblings here, you can't do it in JSX, you can't do it in React here. So either you have to enclose them in a single enclosing tag, just like if I do something div here, right? If I write a div here, and if I just make sure that this div that is closing should be closing at this h1, right? So somewhere after this h1. So it makes sense to all of us, I hope so, right? Now this div and this div having a single element, I am trying to return a single element, and this h1 and this h1 are the part of the same element. Now you can see everything is great, but there's a problem. What is the problem here, guys? I hope this is not a single thing that you can find out here. So just see in my this div, I have another div, right? And that div is actually none of my business. I don't want to use this div. I just want it to return this h1 and this h1. So there is no use of this div that I'm creating here. So it's just putting this thing in my DOM. I don't want to use it, right? So if I wanted not to use it, I can do something like this thing. And guys, this tag that I'm writing here, it just look very awesome for me to do. That is something known as a fragment tag. What is this? This is a fragment tag, right? So fragment tag, I'm writing here fragment. So guys, what this fragment does for me, so you can see still the code that I still the things that on the browser looks exactly same, but right now this div that has an id root, right, it simply contains two h1s, right? So now it looks awesome that whatever I require, it is exactly the same way. So this fragment can help you over there, that if you wanted to enclose some different elements all together in a single unit, I hope that's quite easy to do. A self closing tag, and that is your enclosing tag, that is your fragment tag. I hope that makes sense to me, right? So now what we learned, guys, we learned that how we can write our HTML type data in this thing, and how we can write our JavaScript in my HTML type data, and that is JSX now. And we learned about that we cannot return two adjacent elements from a component. So what to do for that thing, guys? We use a fragment tag till now. Now Kuldeep, how we can inject our CSS here? So guys, that's very difficult to inject your CSS here. So guys, now if you want to write your CSS, right, so how I can write it here? So guys, I think in HTML what we do, we write some style, right? And guys, if I write some style, we do something that I want to make my color of this thing, I want it to be red color. And guys, let's see here what exactly happens when I write this style here. So guys, I can see some error occurred, right? So how I can say the error occurred? Because my data is not showing up here. So can we check the console? Let's check it out. So you can see in the console, guys, you are getting some error. The above error occurred in the h1 tag, right? So what is the error actually, guys? Consider adding an error boundary to your trees, customize some, there's so many different things, guys. Just see the style prop expects, what is saying the style prop, I don't know what this prop sends to me. It's saying the style prop expects a mapping, expect a mapping from style properties to values, not a string. For example, style equals to this option that is written here, it's something you can choose, right? Margin right equals to, or something called spacing plus em. So when using GSS, so guys, whenever you are using GSS, make sure whatever trying you are writing, guys, it should make sense like this way. So if you're writing a style, your style should look like this way. I don't know what this all sends to me. Let's try to write the same way what they have written here. So guys, they are telling me that you should write style in this way. And guys, let us check it out what happens when I do something spacing as a 10 here. And let me just check here. So guys, when I do something, is there's no error, right? So if you can check on the console, there's no error and something has actually happened, right? And this is the way, guys, this is working. So now if I wanted my color to be blue or black or orange, you can see this style takes up another object, right? So this has to be an object that you wanted to use. So guys, I want to use very clearly that I want to change a color, right? I want to change a color, and the color should be equals to red. So guys, if I do something like this thing, you will see actually that will happen, right? So my content is in the red color now, and this is the what I have to do now. This make another difference, that is not HTML, that is something JSX, right? I hope you are getting my point very clearly. This is JSX, not your HTML, right? Fine. Now apart from this thing, guys, we are writing some classes, right? So how we can use a class, and I want to put some color over it. So how we can do it? Let's have a look in the HTML as well. So if I write a class, right? So guys, there's nothing. If I just write a class equals to, I want to class make it as like my first react class. If I write something like this thing, guys, if you wanted this class to be there, so guys, I'm using a app.css file, right? So guys, this app.css file is somewhere where I'm trying to write some code. So let me just open this file. So somewhere I just need to write about my app.css. So I have a class, my first class. I wanted to make sure that this color should be equals to something. I want it to be blue here, right? I'm expecting. So guys, if I write something, you can see the color is still black, it's not blue. So I'm getting another warning once again. What is the warning? Warning, invalid react dom development something dom property class. So guys, it is not a property. You cannot use a class as a property. So now what I can do, guys, did you mean class name? So guys, if I replace the class keyword with the class name here, so in the app.js file, if I just replace this class with the class name, you will see some difference on the browser. Can we see some differences here? So guys, we tried our best. This is again going great. My topic is React.js basics, so it's not working the way I want, but there's no error, right? But there is no error. So guys, now what exactly is actually happening with my topic h1? So guys, let's have a look here. So you can see somewhere I have written this thing here, right? My first class name. So I have to use it somewhere. If I use here once again, just have a look once again, it's not working the way it has to, right? So what exactly wrong with my data? I'm trying to get in the blue color, but I'm not getting. Just see the things, guys, very clearly what I'm trying to do here. My first React class, right? There's something I have app, there's something I have app header bar, there's something I have app link bar, right? You will see, Kuldeep, that whatever I can see here, that the current color that you're trying to put here is blue, and that's all clear. Now is there anything that I'm talking about the color here? So guys, apart from this thing, guys, we have color white. About this thing we have a color this thing. About this we have color blue. So I'm trying my best to get the color, and I hope, guys, something is wrong with my thing. Can I please check it out? What exactly in your mind? So app.js file has my class name, this is my first class name, right? And I'm trying to get it here, but still I'm not able to. In the app.js file, I have mentioned my first class to be blue. Just see if I just make sure about this whole thing should work. Let me try with my M as a capital letter. Right, so here if I just write blue color, so if I write blue color, something like this thing, blue color. So let's have a look with this now. So blue color, and if I just change it with blue color, let's have a look. Still the thing is same, right? So guys, you can't see that the basics that I'm trying to put it here, I'm not able to write it there, right? So you have to look into something, guys, that whenever you're trying to work in this application, right, something might work and something don't. So just try and help me out in the comments what exactly is wrong with my this class name that I have written here with the blue color, or please help me with the CSS file as well, that what exactly happened, right? I hope that's all clear from my side for my first React basics, how we can set up some React application, and we'll look into the other things, guys, later on. That's all. Thank you.